And very recently, the BBC has admitted that the Syria gas attack, the report that they'd put out, a broadcast on Radio 4 called Mayday, the canister on the bed, had, quote, serious flaws. Just talk us through this story for our audience who may not have kept up with it, but do know intuitively that there's something pretty fishy going on when we report what's really going on the ground in Syria.
Well, the Douma 2018 alleged chemical weapons attack was a high-profile alleged attack in a broader context of what have been repeated claims made about allegations made about the Syrian government carrying out systematic chemical weapons attacks against its population. And in 2018, there was such an attack appeared to have occurred, and it was controversial straight away. The Russian Federation and the Syrian government denied that they had carried out the attack. There was very rapidly question marks being raised by some of the people who had been filmed in a hospital associated with this attack. And then you had an OPCW organization for the prohibition of chemical weapons went in order to investigate the attack. And really from there on, the rest is history. Controversy increased rapidly after it became apparent that there were OPCW persons who were involved with the investigation who were indicating that there'd been some kind of fraud or some kind of suppression of evidence in a way that allowed the OPCW and the US and the French and British governments to point the finger at the Syrian government and say, you're responsible for the attack. And that controversy has just grown and grown ever since then. And the stakes have been very high with this, of course, because the French, British, and Americans bombed Syria 7 days after the alleged attack in Douma in retaliation for it. So they actually carried out airstrikes on the country. And when the OPCW went in, they were obviously under tremendous pressure to find or reach a conclusion which would underpin the French, American, and British decision to bomb a sovereign country. And that's been it since then. There's been controversy, and we can talk a little bit more about it, has grown and grown. There are OPCW persons who have whistleblown and spoken out, leaked documents and so on, statements of concern signed by eminent people around the world calling for greater scrutiny of the OPCW. And that's where we are today. The issue remains with a lot of controversy over what happened at Douma and the OPCW's investigation of the Douma alleged attack.